Okay, here we go. Hopefully, here we go. This is going to be a true scrap buster. I've already started with making the cover for this, and this was made out of a old calendar pack, wall calendar pack that I had that was like a coloring Paisleys. So I've started that. As you see, I've already gotten my holes for my 2 signatures in it. This measures about 6 inches by, folded in half, a little over 3 inches. So I'm using 6 by 6 squares, and I'll just do that, cut them in half. And I've already taken, see, this is a copy of the calendar pack. So it has pretty colors. So I'm trying to stay true to this color. And what I have here is I have this pack. I picked it up at clearance from AC Moore. It's a Paisley pop, which goes wonderfully with this because these are Paisley color-ins. And I have selected those that I thought would go well with this cover. So I have this one and that one because I like the colors, and the blue here, and that one, the oranges. And then I've also selected two of these as well, the actual calendar portion of it from the calendar. And so that's what I'm going to be using. And also, because this is a true scrap buster, I have over here, see if you can see that, my bin, my scrap bin of paper. I keep 3 bins on my table here. A scrap bin for paper, so that's my paper scrap bin, put that over there. And then I have another bin here which has fabrics and bling and trims and stuff in that. So those are my true scrap bins. Whoops, put that back in there. And then I also keep a separate bin, which is what I call my project bin. Now this is, at this point, really scrap because this was from a couple of projects that I was working on. I decided to sit down today and have a bit of a play, as we say. So I'm going to be using my paper scrap bin and my fabric scrap bin for this. I'm not going into my regular stock. Oh, and here's the pages of the coloring calendar. This is what I have left because I use it a lot. You know, there we go. 2018, I got it at the thrift store. So I've been going through my paper scraps, and I'm trying to make sure that you guys can see this okay. Let me see if I can, that's a little better maybe. So, and this is what I've pulled out thus far from my paper scraps. Now, I don't know if I'm going to use all of this or not, but this is what I've pulled out. So let me set these aside over here. And I'm thinking, these are cardstock, so this is pretty thick paper. 1, 2, 3, 4. This one isn't as thick, but these are pretty thick cardstock. So that's 5 total here. So I'm thinking probably about between 10 and 15. So I need about another 10. And this is what I've pulled out of my bin. And let's see what we're going to put in there. This is a piece of tissue paper for wrapping. I got it at the dollar store, the Dollar Tree. And I think I'll probably use that. I don't have enough here to put it in both signatures because I'm going to do 2 signatures. It has an 1.5 inch spine. So I set the holes a 1/2 inch in from each side. So between the center of the holes, they are also a 1/2 inch. That's how I did that. And like I said, this is this is paper, and this box is actually from a Pillsbury refrigerated crust box that I cut in half. I like this. I gives, you know, cute little journals when we're done. This is going to be the cover right here. And inside what I did was, because I turned it inside out, because I wasn't quite sure what I was going to do with it when I was making the frame for this. So the inside of the box is on the outside, and the outside of the box, which has all the printing on it, is on the inside. So what I first did was I have, 8.5, 11 sheets of printing labels, it's 2 to a sheet. So first I covered it with one of the white labels, and then I put down the cover for it, and then I covered it again with another label, tried to just make it look all nice and neat. And then I put the holes with those little copper colored grommets, which are pretty. So this is what I have. I think I'll probably use this because I like the colors, nice and bright. I have this scrap of paper doily, so I'll use that somehow, maybe. I don't know, it's florals and this is a little bit different style, so we'll have to think about that. I'll definitely be using the ledger paper because I love the color for it. And I have 2 sheets here, and it is measuring, well, it's 8.5 still, but let's see, how big is it? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's fine. Like I say, this is a scrapbuster true junk journal. I also have some left over here of regular notebook filler paper, so I'll throw those in there. This is a scrap of paper dye paper. I did this with red food coloring, and I think I might have thrown in a touch of blue with it. So I'll do that one as well. Here's just more note paper. This is plain copy paper, so that's to have on hand if I need it. I have this scrap of Tim Holtz tissue paper, and I'll show you the box for that. I got this at Michael's. It was on clearance. Tim Holtz Ideology. So you can see that there, tissue wrap, postal tissue wrap. So 15 feet by 12 inches. So there we go. So I use that just for some texture and stuff. Obviously it's very waxy. And here's another piece of paper. I dyed this is just regular copy paper, and I dyed this with ultramarine blue watercolor paint with an extra bit of blue food coloring in it. And I don't know if you can see or not, but it has like what I call sparkles. I also used, and I can't show it to you now because it's over there packed away with the paints, like a glitter paint thing, but I see it has a tear in it. And that's interesting how one side is very blue and the other side is very teal. This was obviously on the bottom because you see some of the marks from the pan it was in. So I'll use that as well. This is, I don't know if I'm going to use this or not. I might. I only have 1 sheet of this. Again, this is from some other things that I was doing. This is a very beautiful piece. I used some of this. So I might use this. I might not. I'm not quite sure it goes. So this one is a question mark. And then this here is just some children's writing paper, which is sometimes nice to put in there. Personally, I don't know, when I first started junk journaling, I bought different, I was looking at everybody's videos, and I went out and I got from the dollar store different types of paper and different things, but it's very, very thin. So I'm not in love with this paper, so I don't know actually if I'm going to use this or not. I think it doesn't quite go, so I'm going to put that back in the scrap. I'm not going to use that. So what do we have here? This one, the colors are nice, but it kind of, no, I'm not going to use that either. It doesn't quite, it clashes is the word I'm looking for. I'm not quite sure about this one. I'm not sure I'll need this. And the other side is, because it was double-sided scrapbook paper from a nautical theme, so I'm not sure if I'm going to use that one either. Put that back in the bin. But I'm definitely going to be using these things. So let us see. Let's set this aside, pull out our paper trimmer here, and start cutting things down to, yeah, I'll use that. I'll put that over here, to 6 by 6. Ugh. Oh, I don't actually need to open it because this one, when it's closed at 6 inches. So it's a bit wrinkly here. Let's see what we got. So get that in there. So there we go. If I was really sophisticated and knew how to pause a video, I would pause it, but I don't, so you're just going to have to watch me cut. Sorry about that, guys. So we can chat. Today is, let me trim that edge. Let's trim that edge a little bit. Today is Saturday before Easter during our coronavirus pandemic. Things are kind of quiet here at the house. My daughter, who is a nurse, is at work. She's working 3 to 11 today. She's a supervisor at a nursing home. And they're doing okay. They're doing okay there. My grandson, I think, is probably upstairs playing his video games. So we have that there. Yeah, I live in a zoo. My brother, I don't know, he might be out walking or something. My dog is at my feet, panting like crazy because somebody in the neighborhood is running a lawnmower. And we got her. She's a rescue, a pit bull rescue. And we got her 1.5 years ago. I will use some washi tape to fix that probably. All right, here we go. I actually had to take her to the vet yesterday simply because of all the panting and everything. She gets so anxious with lawnmowers and everything else. So she's now on medication, God bless her, and hopefully it will help her somewhat. Now, what part do I want? Do I want that 6 inches where it says postcard? Do I want this 6 inches and cut off the postcard? Well, if it says postcard, if I do that 6 inches, it's going to be folded in half anyway. So what difference does it make? I will do this way. There we go. Put that aside. So yeah, so we're all doing, oh look, I should have done it the other way. It's ripped. Okay, well, we'll fix that too. No worries. No worries. So what do I have here? Well, not quite sure. Let's do this one. Yeah, so I don't know how you all are planning on celebrating your Easter, or it is also Passover. So happy Passover to my friends who celebrate that. May you have a joyous time. And it's true now as we celebrate Passover and you know, what makes this night special than all other nights, kind of takes us back, doesn't it? And as I believe one of the Passover traditions is to leave an empty chair for Elijah. So as we have the empty chairs around our tables now, they're not just for Elijah, are they? They're for our beloveds. Cutting it off this way to get rid of that. These aren't quite 6 inches. They're going to be shorter. Let's see what we got. How big? Yeah, see, they're like 5 inches or so. So there we go. And I guess I'll trim down some of this just plain paper too, just in case we decide we need that. Boom. And as our dear friend over at Shabby Dabby Doodah, Tina, I love her. Hi, Tina. I hope you're doing well. It's time to actually put some things in the bin. Although this is that's the problem with junk journaling, isn't it? You can save even the littlest thing and you're going to put it to use doing something. This I'm going to bin though. I'm not going to save it. But this stuff is going to go back in the scrap bucket. So there we go. All right, here we go. So let me set that aside and let me pull my papers back and see about putting together my signatures. Now, here's one pile. Make sure you guys can still see it. This is my first time videoing, people, so yay you, welcome, and I hope it comes out okay. All right, so here I have my 2 signatures. Now, for those things that I only have one of, I'm going to put over to the side. Well, there we go. These are kind of very similar, so one goes one and one goes the other. pink and blue. So do I want to, I guess I'll put the pink there and the blue there. There we go. Here we have 2 greens. So a green each. How many do I have here of the college ruled? 1, 2, 3, 4. See, these papers are thinner, and the obviously the cardstock is much thicker. So, and I have 3 of these, so I'll put 1 aside because, you know, things have to be even. 1 on each. And now this thing, which maybe I could do like a corner tuck. Although, again, like I said, I'm not quite sure. Although it does have the scallop edge, and it is junk journaling, so it doesn't have to be matchy-matchy, does it? It could be anything we want it to be. There we go. And I would like to give a shout out to Pam over at the Paper Outpost. It was one night when I was in bed watching some YouTube videos. I was having trouble sleeping, so I opened up my phone and turned on some YouTube. And there in my main feed was a video from Pam at the Paper Outpost. I don't remember which one it was. I think, you know, it was one of her beginning ones of making one of her junk journals. And I started watching it and I got hooked very, very quickly. So here we are now, the 2nd week in April, and I'm making videos and junk journals, and maybe I'll make a video of some of the things that I've made. The first one I made, I gave away to a coworker of mine, and it had everything in there. It had paper bags. It was just chock full of goodness. And as I make more and more of the journals, my own style is coming out. So this is where we are now. I have yet to make a vintage junk journal, you know, things that are in creams and vintage and Victorian stuff and coffee dyes. I don't coffee dye, I do bright colors. So anyway, okay, let's put that aside. We'll figure out that one later. So here we have the papers that are going into our signatures. And now I have to decide how I want to do this. Do I want to, oh gosh, make a couple of envelopes or something out of them? Like, do I want to put 2 pieces of cardstock back to back, like maybe for the middle, the center of the signature, and glue them down so I have pockets here to do that. I always like to use 1 piece as the signature cover. I think I'll use this one as the signature cover for one of the signatures because I like that. Yeah, so this one will be a signature cover, but not in this signature because this tissue paper is over here, and so I'll make it the signature cover for that tissue paper for whatever reason, because the colors or something. It's just the way I like it. I'll use this one as a signature cover. All right, so that's going to be my signature cover. Let me get my bone folder out. The cord is in my way. I don't know if you can see that or not. And let's start folding. So I know this might be kind of boring for you guys. Like I said, if I knew how to pause it, maybe what I can do once I figure out how to edit these things, it'd speed up through this process. So that's one. I should probably figure this out first. Plain, plain, plain. I like to, oh, so that's there. And then what I will do is do that. I have to figure out what I'm going to do with this one. Do that one, and then I'll use that to build on. If I'm gonna, which is gonna be the center of the signature? Which 2? These 2 can be the center of the signature. Okay. Let's see if I can get these going. Now, when I put these in, they're probably gonna, whoops, wrong way. Nope, that's the right way. They might hang out of the journal. I forget what that's called when things slide or migrate, you know. Not quite sure. It's not migrate. Anyway, you're all shouting at me what it is, and that's fine. But when I, and then I'll look in the comments and I'll figure it out. So these will be sticking, these might be sticking out because these are 6 by 6 squares. So that's in half, that's 3. And this is a little over 3. It is 3 1/4. So they might stick out a little bit. They might not. If they stick out, then I'll just fix that with some trimming or something. I'm not going to trim the papers. I will add some lace or something to the edge of that. So, okay. So there's that. This is going to be, and I like to alternate. Here we go. Let's do this. Plain with busy type papers, you know, because usually on the cardstock is when I'll build on it. I'm not gonna, it's harder for me to build up on plain paper because it's thinner, so I don't want to be putting things like belly bands and tuck spots and things like that on the plain paper because the paper might not be able to hold that weight depending upon how the person uses it. Like this is a thin paper. The ledger paper is thicker. That one would be fine to build up on. The copy paper, especially since it's been dyed, it feels a little bit thicker. Although I do use 24 pound. I don't use 20 pound. I've always liked 24 pound weight. So mine is just a tad thicker. Okay, so what am I doing here? So this is the center. There we go. My little, that. I might have to figure that one out. This one, do I want it to be folded out this way or do I want it to be folded in this way? I'm right-handed and I usually build things up on the right. So if I fold it in this way, it'll be built up there, but then on this side, I guess it really doesn't matter, does it? Here we go. We'll fold it in this way. Ugh. So there's my cover. I will use this. Let's use a plain piece. Oh, this is plain. Let's not use a plain piece. Let's use this. Okay. Then we'll put in this, right? Then we'll put in, we'll put in this. And I'm not using my phone folder, I know. Put in that. That's the center. Put in this. Oh, let me, I could just tear it. All right, just tear it off. There we go. This one here, though. I also have to think if I want to do any flip outs or not. So let's just put these together and have a chat, have a play. Oh, I still have this one here. Okay. So do I want to turn, which way do I want to turn it though? Okay, I'll do this. That one, that one. Here we go. That one, this one. This one, and these. There we go. And you see how they kind of fan out like that, especially when you're using that much heavy cardstock. They're not all going to fold down. And when we put it in, it's still pretty good. It's not going to overcome. All right, so what I'm going to do is I am going to end this video now. I'm going to do the other signature, and I am going to then decide if I'm going to sew them in or if I'm going to do anything to them before I sew them in. I usually, once I get the base of the signature down is when I put them in, and then if I start doing things like flip outs and all, I do it once the journal is together. The way my mind works, it's the same way like when I do my sewing and quilting. I have to look at the fabric for a while and wait for it to speak to me, to tell me what it wants to do. So I need to put the book together and then, go through it and think about things a little bit and then figure out what I'm going to put where as far as belly bands and flip outs and, all different kinds of things. But anyway, so how are we doing on time? Not so bad. I hope that wasn't too boring of a 20 minutes or so for you, and I hope that you have a joyous Easter. And although we can't be with some of our loved ones, let us take comfort in the knowledge that none of us are ever truly alone. God is with us. Thanks. Bye-bye.